Welcome to the deep dive. So, you've put in the work, you've climbed the ladder, hit the benchmarks, career success, the recognition, all that external stuff.
hmm
But maybe, like us, you've sometimes found yourself thinking, there's this, I don't know, inner hunger. The outward success is there, sure, but maybe not that deep personal alignment or those really healthy relationships.
It's a really common feeling, isn't it? That kind of modern professional conflict. And that's exactly what the sources we're looking at today tackle head on.
Yeah.
We're talking about material that big names like Warren Bennis called remarkable on the human condition. And Ken Blanchard, he said it was like having a whole library on success in one go.
Wow.
And they don't mean just, productivity tips. They mean fundamentally rethinking how we operate.
Okay, that definitely sets the bar high. But it feels right. So our mission here is to, well, skip the usual motivational rah-rah, the quick fixes. We want to get right to the core. We're going to analyze that difference between, say, temporary solutions and real fundamental change. Change based on principles.
We really have to, because if you keep throwing superficial fixes at deep problems, well, you just keep repeating the same cycles, don't you?
Exactly.
So we're diving deep into that foundation, your core paradigms and your principles. If those aren't solid, well, everything else is built on shaky ground.
Okay, let's start with the symptoms. The sources list a few, and I bet everyone listening can relate to at least one. Maybe your job success has kind of eaten your personal life, or you feel stuck, maybe can't keep promises to yourself, like that diet you start every Monday.
Yeah, that sounds familiar. Or from a management perspective, maybe you've done all the training, you're trying to be visible, connect with people, but there's just no real loyalty there.
Right.
Or you just feel constantly rushed, pressured, busy.
Yeah.
But you look ahead and wonder, is any of this activity actually building something meaningful long term?
And when those things pop up, what does our culture usually tell us to do? More technique, right? Better time management. Think positive. Get a new app.
Always the external fit.
Yeah. But the sources argue this whole approach is, well, fundamentally flawed. And they trace it back historically.
Absolutely. If you look at, say, success writing before World War I, it was almost all about the character ethic.
Character ethic, okay.
Yeah, success came from deep internal stuff. Integrity, humility, courage, fairness, sticking to your word, the golden rule.
Yeah.
Think Benjamin Franklin's autobiography, that kind of thing. It was about being good.
That sounds harder, slower.
It was. Definitely required cultivation. But then after World War I, things shifted. Pretty dramatically, actually, to the personality ethic.
Okay.
And suddenly, success was more about appearance, public image, attitude, skills, techniques for getting along, making good impressions,
Yeah.
Human relations, positive thinking.
That feels much more like today, the whole fake it till you make it idea. But what I found interesting is how the authors draw a line here. They say, sure, skills and a good attitude help, but so much of this personality ethic stuff can be, well, manipulative, like forcing a smile or pretending you care about someone's hobby just to get them on your side.
And that's the core problem. The personality ethic offers, as the sources say, social band-aids and aspirin.
Right.
They might cover up an awkward moment, maybe help you charm someone short-term, but the underlying chronic issues, they don't get touched.
So if you're fundamentally, say, insecure or lack integrity,
Then the techniques are just camouflage. They wear thin. Techniques are always secondary traits. They're not the primary engine for lasting success or fulfillment.
the moment this really clicked for me was reading that story about the family, the parents struggling with their son. He was uncoordinated, doing poorly in school, kind of embarrassing them socially.
Right.
And they tried everything from the personality ethic playbook. Positive talk, you can do it.
Right.
Defending him when others laughed.
All the standard techniques to boost self-esteem.
Exactly. But it wasn't working. He just kept feeling like a failure, breaking down. The parents were baffled.
Because their words didn't match their deep down belief.
That was the kicker. When they really looked inside, they realized their fundamental perception, their hidden map of him, was that he was basically inadequate, someone who needed protection.
So even while saying you're great, their actions, their energy, everything was communicating, you're not capable.
Yeah.
And this gets to what the sources call primary versus secondary greatness.
Okay.
Secondary greatness is the surface stuff, social recognition, talent, skills, techniques, the quick fix appeal. Primary greatness is character, goodness, integrity, real fundamental strength.
Okay, but let me push on that a bit, because honestly, we see people who seem to lack that primary greatness. Maybe they're ruthless, But they achieve huge success, right? At least in the short term.
You definitely do see that. But the focus here is on lasting effectiveness, especially in relationships, in personal growth, in building something sustainable. If your core character is, say, insincere or duplicitous, eventually people pick up on it. Your influence techniques start feeling manipulative.
Oh.
You just can't build real, lasting trust if there's a mismatch between what you say and what people sense you really believe or are. That duplicity,
Yeah.
it always undermines things, always breeds distrust.
That really makes the farm analogy land.
Doesn't it? It's so simple but so true.
Yeah.
The law of the harvest.
Yeah.
You cannot cram on a farm. You just can't. You have to do the work, follow the natural process, plant in the spring, cultivate, then harvest in the fall.
Yeah.
You can't just, show up in October with a super positive attitude and expect crops you never planted.
Right. You can't shortcut it.
In human relationships, personal development, they're natural systems too. We're always tempted to find shortcuts, to hack the system, but deep down, they don't really allow it. Not for long-term health anyway.
Okay, so quick fixes fail because they don't address the real root character. And we struggle with character often because of how we fundamentally see things. Which brings us right to this core idea, the paradigm, which is, simply put, like a mental map, right? A perception, an assumption, a belief we hold about how things are.
And here's the critical warning. The map is not the territory. We all carry these maps around in our heads. Maps of reality, how things are, we think, and maps of values, how things should be.
And we rarely even think about them being maps. We think they're just reality.
We assume they're accurate. We hardly ever question them because they're often subconscious.
That Chicago-Detroit map analogy in the source is perfect for this. So simple.
Yeah, tell us.
Well, if you're trying to get to Chicago, but your map is actually, say, a map of Detroit because of some printing error, what happens if you just try harder? Put your foot down.
You get to the wrong place faster.
Exactly. Or what if you just try to have a better attitude about it? Think positively about your Detroit map.
You're still lost, just maybe happier about being lost. Doesn't help you find Chicago.
Right. So the first thing, the absolute essential thing for getting anywhere effectively is having the right map, an accurate map.
And it's kind of startling how easily our maps get formed, how easily we're conditioned. Think about that famous optical illusion. The picture that can be an old woman or a young woman.
Oh, yeah, I know that one, depending on how you look.
Right. And the sources point out, if you condition someone first, maybe show them just the young woman's image for only 10 seconds.
Okay.
That brief exposure powerfully shapes their map. Then, when they see the combined image, they genuinely see the young woman. They might really struggle to see the old woman at all, even though the lines on the page are identical.
Wow. That's actually kind of disturbing.
It is. Because it means really sincere, intelligent people can look at the exact same set of facts, the same black lines, the same white spaces, and see completely different things, all based on their conditioned map.
We think we're being objective.
We operate under this illusion of objectivity. But the truth is, often we see the world not as it is, but as we are, or as we've been conditioned to see it.
And our attitudes, our behaviors, they just flow right out of those maps, don't they? Often without us even realizing it.
Precisely. Which shows why trying to change your attitude or behavior without changing the underlying map is usually, well, futile in the long run. That's the failure of just focusing on the personality ethic.
So the real goal isn't just tweaking behavior, it's aiming for a paradigm shift, that sudden aha moment.
That quantum leap in understanding, like in science history, right? Ptolemy's Earth-centered universe to Copernicus's sun-centered view, it changed everything.
Yeah, it wasn't just a small adjustment, it was a whole new map.
A fundamental break that completely reframes reality.
And the story that drives this home most powerfully, emotionally, is the subway story. Everyone remembers this one.
The guy on the subway?
Yeah, the narrator's there. It's Sunday morning, quiet. Then this man gets on with his kids, and the kids are just wild, running around, yelling, grabbing things. Chaos.
And the father.
Just sits there,
Yeah.
staring into space and completely choked out, does nothing.
So naturally, the narrator starts feeling
Intensely irritated, judging the father, thinking how irresponsible, how insensitive, making all sorts of assumptions based on his current map of the situation.
and he's about to step in, right?
Yeah.
Use his well-honed skills to say something.
Exactly. He's formulating his polite but firm correction. But just before he does, the father kind of looks up like he's just surfacing and says, "Oh, you're right. I guess I should do something about it. We just came from the hospital where their mother died about an hour ago."
Wow. Just instant change.
Instantaneous. All the irritation, the judgment, the anger just vanished. Poof. replaced immediately with empathy, compassion, the urge to help. He didn't have to try to change his attitude. He didn't have to work on his behavior. The second his perception, his map was corrected by that new information, his whole world shifted.
That's it. That's the power of seeing things differently, the power of a paradigm shift.
Okay, so paradigms are our maps. Subjective, often flawed. If we want to fix our maps, we need something solid to orient ourselves by. What's the actual territory?
That's where principles come in. Principles are the territory. They're the objective reality. They are fundamental, unchanging truths. Natural laws.
Like gravity in the physical world.
Exactly like gravity. They operate consistently in the human dimension, in relationships, in organizations, in personal growth. You can't just ignore them or wish them away. They are, as the source says, natural laws that cannot be broken.
That reminds me of the lighthouse story.
Ah, the battleship captain. Classic.
Right, the captain's in fog, sees a light approaching, signals, change course 20 degrees, gets a signal back, recommend you change course 20 degrees.
Captain pulls rank. I am a captain.
Advise you change course 20 degrees. Then the final powerful signal. This is a lighthouse.
Boom. Game over.
Yeah. The captain's map, his paradigm, was that he was dealing with another ship, something movable, something subordinate to his rank.
But he wasn't. He ran up against an immovable reality, a principle represented by the lighthouse.
An unchangeable law.
And you can't argue with a lighthouse. As Cecil B. DeMille apparently said, we cannot break the law. We can only break ourselves against the law.
Makes sense.
So our effectiveness, our long-term success, really depends on how well our maps, our paradigms, align with these unchanging principles, this objective territory.
So what are some of these principles? Are they complicated?
Not really. They're usually self-evident. Things that are foundational to any thriving society or relationship. Think about fairness, integrity, honesty.
Yeah.
You need those for trust, right?
Sure.
Human dignity, service trying to contribute value, quality or excellence in what you do.
Okay.
And the principle of potential and growth.
Yeah.
The idea that people and things can develop, but it requires patience, nurturing, process. You can't microwave personal growth.
It seems hard to imagine building anything lasting based on the opposites of those, like deceit or unfairness or mediocrity.
Exactly.
Yeah, true.
Universal.
But hang on, how are these principles different from just, say, values? Don't values guide us too?
That's a really important distinction the sources make. Values are subjective. They're internal beliefs about what's important. A group, like a gang of thieves, could share the same values, right? Loyalty to the gang, maybe.
Okay.
Principles are objective. They're external natural laws. They exist whether we value them or not. Values are the map. Principles are the territory.
Got it.
And also, principles aren't practices. Practices are specific actions, what you do in a situation. They can change. You might discipline one child differently than another based on their needs. That's a practice. The underlying principle might be love or fairness, but the practice varies.
So the goal is aligning our subjective values and flexible practices with those objective, unchanging principles. Map matches territory.
That's the key to effectiveness. #tag outro.
So bringing this all together for you, the listener, if you're feeling that inner hunger, if you want to move beyond just surface success towards real, sustainable effectiveness, what's the big takeaway?
Well, it's clear you have to stop just hacking at the leaves, meaning stop focusing only on attitudes and behaviors, the surface stuff. You've got to go deeper. Strike at the root,
Which is?
examining your paradigms, those mental maps, and working constantly to align them with correct, unchanging principles.
That sounds like real work.
It is.
Yeah.
And it demands honesty. It demands recognizing that growth is sequential. There aren't really any shortcuts.
Like you can't skip levels.
Exactly. If you're operating at, say, an emotional level 2 in a relationship, you can't just jump to level 5 communication techniques. You have to work through level 3 first. Trying to fake it, like pretending you're a concert pianist when you just started lessons,
Yeah.
it just leads to frustration and damages trust.
It's so tempting, though, isn't it, to pretend we're further along than we are, especially emotionally.
Oh, absolutely. It's
Yeah.
often easier to stay at a low level, maybe being reactive or judgmental, while giving really high-level advice to everyone else.
Yeah.
Think about leaders trying to install a new culture with speeches and programs while ignoring the fact that their own behavior, their own untrustworthy paradigms, created the toxic climate in the first place. You cannot skip the personal work. You can't ignore the law of the harvest there either.
So here's a final thought for you to chew on, something directly from the sources. Growth requires us to admit what we don't know. Thoreau asked, How can we remember our ignorance, which our growth requires, when we are using our knowledge all of the time?
Hmm. Powerful question.
So think about your most challenging relationship right now, seriously. What level of honesty, of emotional development are you really operating from? Forget the image, forget the techniques. What does your actual unvarnished mental map of that situation and that person truly look like? Something to consider. Thanks for diving in with us.